Now, I don't know about you, but I'm finding investing extremely difficult at the moment. So I started in around January 2020, and my portfolio has grown ever since then through contributions. It's worth around £56,000 at the moment. I have ranged anywhere over the last 2 years, probably from around 7% down to about 3% up. And it ranges in between there, in and around 0% the majority of the time. It'll creep up over the course of a couple of weeks, creeping into 0.5% up, 1% up, and then over the course of 2 or 3 days, it just drops 5 or 6%. It's hard to motivate yourself at the moment to keep going. Lots of messages are out there as well at the moment. What should you do? Should you continue to invest? Should you go heavier into savings? Should you be overpaying your mortgage? Should you be contributing more to your pension? Do you need to find a new job? What do you need to do? There's uncertainty everywhere, and it is making it extremely difficult to stay on track at the moment, in all honesty. And I'm finding it, I'm feeling it. And my goal is to continue investing for the next 10 years minimum, to reach a point where I have got a portfolio of assets that will mean that all my bills are covered, that I've got a little bit of spending cash left over. And basically that puts me in a position of financial freedom. That's my version of financial freedom. I just so happened, however, to enter into this journey at the end of one of the biggest bull markets in history. The markets have been going up for 10, 15 years exponentially. People have been making a fortune. COVID hit, war hit, inflation hit, and all of a sudden stocks have not been doing as well as they have done recently. Now, what we need to do in these instances is zoom out a little bit. Consider what has happened in the past, and ever since the 1800s, the markets, certainly the S&P 500, have gone up an average of 9% per year over that time period. So whilst we've seen declines over the last couple of years, it's important to try and continue to consider that perspective, as hard as it may be. What we do as human nature, though, is we base our experiences on what we've experienced, and that's what we consider will continue. So if you've started investing at a similar sort of time as me, you'll have seen it's not been easy. It's been hard to make much money. It's been hard to grow your portfolio. It's been hard to see any growth, to stay motivated, to continue to do this. On top of that, a lot of people, because of the cost of living crisis, have less money available to invest. So if you had plans a couple of years ago to start investing, whatever that number was, pluck a number randomly, £100 a month, and you wanted to increase that to £200 a month, then to £300 a month over the course of a couple of years or whatever it was, but you've found that your spending power has been significantly decreased. So what do you do? So all of these things being considered, I'll tell you what I've been doing. So since the start of the year, I've continued to invest. I'm in a very fortunate position that over the last couple of years, over the last 2 job moves, I've increased my salary significantly to a point where I'm in a position where I'm able to afford to max out my ISA. Now, I know most people won't be in that position. I am extremely lucky in order to be able to do that. I promise you, not a penny from this channel goes into my investing, basically because I don't make any. I just do this for the fun. So all of my contributions have come from my day job. So I'm a big advocate of having a day job. Everyone talks about side hustles and escaping the rat race and all of that sort of good stuff, which is great if you can do it. But in reality, the day job pays you every month. It gives you a pension. It gives you security. You're protected by a number of employment laws. It's not all bad. It's not all bad at the end of the day. So that means since the beginning of the year, my plan has been to continue to invest as heavily as I can into my portfolio. And in reality, I haven't done that as much as I wanted. The reason being is because of cost of living crisis. It's also been because I have felt demotivated because there's no growth in my portfolio. It's constantly stagnant. When you type in your numbers into compound interest calculator, you're assuming 9% growth or even 6 or 5, but it's just not happening. So everything I'm contributing at the moment, there's no growth in it whatsoever. The only growth I'm getting is from dividends, which I'm reinvesting. There's snippets of green shoots in certain businesses, Rolls-Royce, for example, but I've got more in the red than I have in the green. No question about that whatsoever. So I don't know if you're feeling the same way at the moment. Perhaps you are, perhaps you aren't. Perhaps you're not even investing anymore at all. Perhaps you're investing more than ever, but this is just how I'm personally feeling. So what I've done is I have a mortgage as well. And my plan at the moment currently is I opened a First Direct savings account back in October last year. I put £300 a month into that. That's the max you can put into it. When that matures in October this year, that'll be worth $3,600 plus the interest, which was 7%. But don't forget, you don't get 7% of the $3,600. You get an average of your total contributions throughout the course of the year. And it works out as if you average in a set amount every month that works out at about half of what that interest is. So 7% interest, I'll get 3.5%. So over the course of 3,600, I don't even know what that is, 120, 30, 40, 50 quid, something like that. That will give me 3,700 odd. I'm going to use that cash to overpay on my mortgage. My mortgage, I am lucky. I fixed a 5-year 2.19 in March 2022. So I got extremely lucky. So I've got until March 2027 at 2.19. I'm going to invest that. I am going to overpay my mortgage the same amount every year in the same manner as I have doing at the moment. So while interest rates are high, taking advantage of that, I'll do £300 a month, £200 a month, whatever I can find the new deal in October when that comes around. I will do the same. I'll save that amount. I'll overpay on my mortgage there. And then hopefully by the time March 2027 comes around, it'll be a little bit less than it is at the moment. I have a big mortgage. It's about £235,000 left on it to pay. So it's going to be a big hit if I'm not taking some of that capital off. What I'm going to continue to do is invest as much as I can. Continue to invest as much as I can. So I invest a significant proportion of my salary. I don't even know what it is, but it's way over 30, 40% in order to be able to try and reach this level of financial independence. I'm going to continue to do that. And this is probably a message to myself as much as to anyone else, to keep doing what we know is the right thing to do, right? And long term, when we look back on these days, months, years, when we kept dripping in, these are the times, these are when the winners are made. This is the time when the people that really benefit from investing into the markets, they win. Now, what you'll have noticed is a lot of YouTubers in this sector in the UK have disappeared. Don't know why. Maybe it's because they're finding it hard. Maybe it's because they're finding the growth of the channel hard. Maybe it's because their investments have all gone to pot and they don't want to show it anymore. Maybe they're not making as much cash. I know ad revenue is significantly down, affiliates are down, but it's a symptom of what's been going on in the market. The appetite is slowing up a little bit, but you must keep going. You have to keep going. You have to keep putting as much as you possibly can into your investment so that in the longer term, you really are going to reap those rewards. Another thing that I've done, I've not mentioned this before, is I've decided not to bother with it, emergency fund. Now, this is not advice. Do not take this as advice. The reason I have decided that is because I have a high tolerance to risk. I consider that my portfolio, which sits at 50 odd £1,000 now, that's my emergency fund. If everything was to go to crap tomorrow, I was to get gross negligent and get kicked out with no redundancy package whatsoever and have £0 coming in from my day job, I have got nearly £60,000 worth of cash, liquid, ready to go to get me through. And if necessary, by Monday, I'll be working in Asda stacking the shelves. Not bothered. I am not precious. I will do whatever it is to bring that cash in. That means that I watched an Andre Zic video a couple of years ago where he said he's the exact opposite and he has a year's worth of emergency fund in cash. Nah, not for me. Lose too much of it through inflation. I've got a decent enough portfolio of assets and my risk tolerance is higher, I suppose. So even though I've got kids, I've got dependents, I've got bills, that's just the way I take it. Like I said, that's not advice. Don't do what I'm doing. That's just my approach to it. Take with it what you like. Now, if you do want to see my portfolio in depth, check out this video here.